So, dann gehen wir mal rein hier in das neue Video von dem PlayStation 5 Dualsense Edge Controller, der Pro Controller auch genannt. First Hands-on, also die hatten, ich weiß nicht genau, wer das ist, ich kenne den Typen nicht, ein amerikanischer YouTuber, der hat anscheinend schon den PS5 Controller, den Pro Controller bekommen, durfte ihn testen und ich bin gespannt, was er so kann. Abfahrt.
What's going on, guys? It's your average consumer. And me and my boy Dom went on a little trip to the PlayStation office out in California, where it was actually
Boah,
really
geil.
cool. We got to see
Boah, geil. Da will ich auch gerne mal hin, ey. Boah.
all of the different PlayStations, the PSP, the Vita. They had it all
geil.
out on display in the lobby. It looks really, really dope. If you're a PlayStation fan, you would absolutely love to just see everything
Alter.
open. But we were there for something special. We got some hands-on time, you guys, with the brand new DualSense Edge wireless controller. And I got a lot to talk about. Not only did we get a chance to check out the controller, we also got to speak to the lead product manager of the DualSense Edge controller, Mizuno-san. We got a little interview with him at the end of this video. But now, let's talk about the controller. First of all, you get this hard shell carrying case, which I will say felt
Sieht auf jeden Fall cool aus, finde ich, auf jeden Fall. Das Hardcase. So, ich mach mal kurz, glaube ich, ein Stück lauter. Ich glaube, das passt so.
really premium in the hand. It's super smooth on the outside, on the white portions. It's got a nice zipper. Once you pop it open, that's when you get access.
Oh, sieht schon nice aus, ne? Sieht schon ganz nice aus, aber diesen Klavierlack, den verstehe ich nicht. Da packst du einmal dran und dann hast du sofort Fingerabdrücke oder halt sehr schnelle Kratzer. Wollten wahrscheinlich so ein bisschen edel halten oder so, ich weiß nicht. Aber ja, vielleicht wäre matt oder sogar ein bisschen besser gewesen, aber keine Ahnung. Oder Carbon. Das wäre geil.
To, of course, the controller and the extra accessories. So what do you get inside of here, right? Well, you get two half-dome back buttons, which I'm a huge fan of. We'll talk about that a little bit more later. And of course, the two lever-style back buttons. We've seen those.
Das ist auf jeden Fall auch ganz cool. Man hat zwar keine 4 Backpedals hinten, aber dafür 2 verschiedene, die man sich dann aussuchen kann, wie man es haben möchte. Finde ich auch auf jeden Fall ganz cool. Ich glaube, hat auch nicht jeder. Ich weiß gar nicht, ob bei den anderen das Standard drin ist. Ich glaube, beim Scuff und so nicht. Da musst du die nehmen, halt, die hinten verbaut sind. Oder beim Aim.
Kinds before, as well as a variety of dome thumbsticks with different heights, and even a USB.
Ja, und die sind auch ganz cool. Die ähneln so ein bisschen den PS3-Stick, ne? Den fand ich auch echt sehr, sehr nice.
Lock. I believe this is for plugging in your USB cable to the controller and making sure it stays in place. It's the worst thing in the world if you're playing wired, your cable comes out, and then it says.
Ja, ist ganz cool, dass es da nicht rausfällt, aber ist mir bis jetzt noch nie passiert auf PlayStation. Auch nicht damals, wenn ich ehrlich bin. Brauche ich jetzt nicht.
Controller disconnected for a second. So this completely eliminates any worry about that. It locks it into the DualSense Edge controller, which I think is pretty cool if you're super serious about your gaming. Maybe if you're in esports, that's definitely going to be helpful. And then of course up top you get a long braided USB cable, which is USB A to C. Now what's also cool about this case is you can pop off this flap in the back and you can run your USB cable directly into your controller if you want to charge it while it's still inside the controller. And last but not least, you might have noticed that there's a little cutout in the center of the case, which is empty, but you can actually get replacement sticks for your controller. You can have your backup brand new one sitting right in the middle, ready to go. So that's everything you get when you actually pick it up. But now let's talk about the controller. So when I went into this, I was expecting a really heavy controller. I thought it was going to include a bit more metal, or it was just going to be super hefty. It's actually not. It feels extremely similar to the current DualSense controller, but of course, with all the cool add-ons. Now, the first thing you might notice right away is that.
Ja, also, weiß nicht, was die jetzt erwartet haben, aber das habe ich mir schon gedacht, dass er sich so anfühlt wie der normale PS5-Controller, weil das ist er ja auch. Nur halt mit Extras. Also, weiß nicht. Ich weiß gar nicht, ob hinten auch sogar Grip dabei ist. Ich glaube nicht so, ne?
No, the white one's probably going to be better, so you can see the differences here. Now, the first thing you might notice right away is that instead of a white trackpad, we now have a black one, and this trackpad has all of the PlayStation symbols embedded all over it. So it's a nice little touch. you can feel like small ridges. Like, it's not like rough or anything, it's very subtle. It's extremely subtle. But not only did they change the color of the trackpad, but they also changed the color of the buttons. The buttons are now blacked out, unlike the previous version.
Da hätte ich auch cool gefunden, wenn die Buttons so wären wie damals, ne? Weil was ich am Controller nicht so geil finde, jetzt von der Optik her, sind, dass die Buttons, also hier Viereck, Dreieck und so, zu der Farbe angepasst sind vom Controller. Also ich fand es immer nice, so wie die alten, auch wie PS4 das hat mit blauen X, grünen Dreieck, roten Kreis und so. Wenn der das hätte, würde ich cooler finden, aber ist halt Geschmackssache, ne?
Version which has those clear, transparent buttons, those are also now black. They even added the PlayStation symbols to the triggers. So the R2, L2, they got nice ridges on there as well, which I personally really like. Makes it a little bit more grippy. They also changed this portion of the controller. It's a lot slimmer than you see on the normal DualSense. And this is actually pretty cool because it's completely rounded out. We don't have like this cutoff that you see over here. They also added a very subtle grip to this portion of the controller too. Now something that's interesting is the trim
da haben wir ein bisschen Grip, okay.
on this DualSense controller is removable. It's like a plastic piece, but the DualSense Edge also has a plastic piece. But the trim isn't as large as this guy. So for this, it goes all the way to here. You can completely remove this entire portion, but you won't be able to do like a full removal with the DualSense Edge. It kind of stops halfway. And to pop it off, you just have like a small little release tab at the bottom of the controller. And once you slide it over, you'll hear the top pop off.
Okay, das ist easy.
And when you remove that plastic piece, it gives you access to the stick modules. Now when you're here, you can pop open a latch.
Alter, da haben sie schon was bei gedacht, Alter, das ist cool.
To remove the stick modules if you want. Like I said, if there are any issues with your joystick, maybe you just want a fresher feel or something, you can get an additional one.
Oder Stickdrift, damit wird der Stickdrift behoben, das finde ich ganz gut.
I think so.
Kann kein anderer Controller übrigens.
Sony's gonna be selling them for like close to $20. I think it's like $19.99.
Ja, $20. Also auch ungefähr 20 Euro. Aber für einen? Oder ist das ein Set?
Or something. And then you're gonna be able to just pop in.
Einen? Oh. Boah. Ui, okay. Okay. Ich dachte jetzt so ein Set für 20 Euro. Okay, das heißt, wenn du jetzt bei beiden jetzt als Beispiel Stickdrift hast und du willst das beheben, dann musst du 40 Euro bezahlen. Dann kannst du es beheben halt. Okay, also wenn du es dreimal austauschen lässt, beziehungsweise es dreimal neu machen musst, dann hast du so viel bezahlt wie ein neuer Standard-Controller. Gut.
A new one if you want. And while we're on the stick modules, you might have noticed.
Ich dachte erst echt 20 Euro für das Set, also 10 pro. Ne? Das sind 20 Stück und dann kriegst du beide. Hätte ja gereicht, aber naja. Ich glaube nicht, dass die Produktion so teuer ist, dass einer so 20 Euro kosten muss. Na, das glaube ich nicht.
That there are buttons.
Das ist wahrscheinlich so ein 100% Gewinnding oder so.
There now. So these are the FN buttons. And these FN buttons are basically Sony's way of adding extra buttons to the controller without adding a ton of extra buttons on the controller. And just like with a keyboard, when you hold down that FN button, changes what that top row does. And that's what happens with the 8 buttons that you have on the controller. So when you hold down the FN button, you get access to a few things. On this side, you get access to the different profiles you want to set to your controller. So if you're playing different games and you have different buttons mapped to different things, you're going to be able to switch between them pretty seamlessly. You can add up to 3 profiles.
Ach, geil. Okay, das ist cool, Alter. Das ist cool. Das hatte der Elite-Controller auch. Der hat das nur auf der Rückseite, so 3 Stufen. Dachte, der kann das nicht, aber es ist dann halt per Software einfach. Das ist cool. Für verschiedene Games hast du dann verschiedene das ist echt geil.
On your controller, including the default one.
Und 4 Stück sogar.
And then on the actual system, you can store up to 30. Now on this side.
Oh. Man kann 30 Profile aussuchen. Ach so, das ist Spieler 1, Spieler 2, Spieler 3, Spieler 4, aber es gehen 30 Stück.
One, and then on the actual system, you can store up to 30. Now on this side of the controller, the up and down with the function.
What the fuck, wer braucht denn 30? Also es ist krass, Aber wer braucht denn 30 verschiedene Einstellungsmöglichkeiten, also, oder Setups oder so, Alter. Für 30 verschiedene Spiele oder was, ey? Boah.
Function keys will work as volume controls for your headset, and the left and right is your party to game slider. So if you want more game, you can go to the left. You want more party, go to the right, and you can just do all that right with the function key. No more.
Oder halt 30 auf verschiedenen Controller dann, oder was? Weil so wie ich es dann verstanden habe, ist dann drückst du den rechten FN-Button, heißt das ja. Dann drückst du ihn runter und dann drückst du Dreieck, dann hast du Spieler 1, oder drückst du Kreis, dann hast du Spieler 2, also eine andere Konfiguration. Keine Ahnung. Ich hab's irgendwie nicht gecheckt jetzt.
More jumping into menus. Isn't that crazy? Now, I love the functionality that the function keys have, but I also like the fact that they don't get in the way. They're just right in the middle of the controller, so no matter what you're doing, you won't touch them unless you're looking for them. Yeah.
Are those function buttons do they serve any purpose in game?
No, so your extra buttons are going to only be the ones in the back. You won't be able to map the function buttons to any other button. They're just going to work as those function buttons. At least for now.
Okay.
On PC, they might go nuts. Who knows? Wild, wild west over there. Now, of course, another big thing is being able to adjust the trigger lengths with the little sliders in the back. So if you're playing something like a first-person
zeig mal, wie weit das
shooter,
runtergeht.
you're probably going to want that to be on the shortest possible so you can get that button press in really quickly. So you have the 3 levels. You have the standard, you have slightly shorter, and like it's almost instant. So if you're playing a game
Oh, das ist cool.
that has that resistance while you're pressing the trigger, I'm thinking like maybe like Ratchet and Clank probably has that. Call of Duty has it. I'm not a big COD guy, so if your game has that, it turns it off if you put it on like the shortest one. Now let's talk about the additional triggers in the back. You have a half dome and you have like the regular lever style. So the regular lever style is what we're all used to if you've used a Pro controller before. But I know a lot of people have said, I don't like those paddles in the back because I always press them accidentally. And so Sony made the half dome. Now the half dome is awesome because you can completely keep your hands on your controller like you normally would.
Ja, da drückt man das von
without
oben nach
pressing the
unten,
button.
oder
And when
was?
you're ready to press them, you can just go ahead and reach.
Ach so,
They're
nee.
not too far. They're in a really good position. And I think it's brilliant because it feels really good in the hand and it solves the complaints of a lot of people who just hate accidentally pressing those triggers in the back. Now I know for me personally, it took some time to get used to having those triggers in the back.
Also für die Leute, die dann bei den anderen Backpedals dann aus Versehen draufkommen oder sowas wie den Mittelfinger oder so. Ist dann ganz cool.
So having those half domes, I think are going to make it easy for a lot of regular folks to transition to that kind of style.
Da haben sie schon
So
was
physically, they
dabei
added
gedacht,
quite a
ey.
few things to the controller, but when you get the thing in your hand, it feels very similar to the previous DualSense controller. Just maybe a little bit heavier, just a little bit, but it's not substantial at all. But now let's talk about some of the customizations that you can make in-game. Now, I think Sony's biggest thing about this controller is giving the player options. So you're gonna be able to customize a lot when it comes to this controller. You can, of course, remap the buttons over here, the buttons in the back, so you can change it up if you have a certain play style that you want. You can also change the sensitivity of the analog sticks. So Sony has a few preset styles that you can access, and you can go within those and even change them quite a bit more. So there's a curve that you can adjust so that you can pace differently
Die Dead Zone kann man einstellen sogar. Krass. Okay.
depending on, you know, your play style and how you want it to feel. They even have the ability to change up the dead zone. So there's a lot to customize, and I'll talk about that way more in depth once we get our hands on the actual controller. And of course, all of those changes that you make, you can save to those profiles. So all the button remaps, sensitivity for the sticks, all
Aber dann kannst du noch mal sogar. Warte.
save to those profiles. So all the
Und dann kann man sogar noch mal die Intensivität von den Triggern noch mal genauer einstellen. Wann der dann im Spiel dann reagieren soll oder so. Das ist schon geil.
button remaps, sensitivity for the sticks, all of that can be, of course, saved to each of the profiles you have on your controller or PS5. Now, of course, your boy did get a few Apex runs in there while I was at the office, and I gotta say, I was really happy with the feel. I'm always missing those back buttons when I'm playing Apex on my PS5, so I'm happy that there's like a legit option out there that I can use. And I gotta say, also the grips, they're subtle, but it feels really good. I just know I'm gonna be spending a lot of time customizing the joysticks when I'm playing Apex. But I'm excited for it. But not only am I excited to get my hands on the actual DualSense Edge controller, but I was excited to speak to Mizuno-san over at PlayStation about why they made this and what you guys can expect once you get your hands on it. All right, guys, and now we have something really special. We've got our special guest over here, Mizuno-san from PlayStation. He's the lead product manager of the DualSense Edge wireless controller. So I just gotta pick your brain, man.
Okay.
What was the inspiration behind this? Why did you guys decide now's the time to make this controller?
We started looking into this idea to make the high performance controller back in 2018. We have done like a direct interview toward esports players. They
Ah, krass, schon 2018 im Plan, okay.
were actually not satisfied with their current high performance controller. Especially like esports player, they are athletes. It's like a shoes of a basketball player or like a racket of a tennis player. You know?
That makes sense.
The basic ergonomics was totally important. They loved actually DualSense ergonomics. So we really wanted to keep the same ergonomics. Additionally, they said that they don't want to have like additional buttons all over the place because it will lead to accidental presses. We want to have those kind of multiple function but minimize the buttons. So we had this idea to have a function button in the bottom.
I think that's really cool that you mentioned that, because while I've been playing with it so far, being able to jump into those menus without really having to dive deep into like just the regular PlayStation settings has been really quick and seamless. And even with the addition of these, usually the paddles in the back, some people don't like them because they accidentally press them. Takes some getting used to. With these new ones here, you can just kind of hold it in your hand. There's no even these, nothing here is going to get in the way of your gameplay. So this is definitely geared towards like folks who want the best performance, esports obviously in mind. How do you see this changing just like the average person's gameplay? Do you feel like even they can benefit from something like this?
Every user who wants to be stronger or like wants to have a controller that can personalize depending on their game style or depending on their game genre, this controller definitely gives value to them. And we are confident that every single feature that is in this controller will benefit those kind of users who wants to be stronger.
Well, Mizuno-san, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Guys, this is wild, but it's coming soon. But that about wraps it up for this video, guys. Hopefully you got some good insight to what you can expect from the DualSense Edge wireless controller. Are you getting your hands on it? I know it's 200 bucks. So let me know with a comment down below. That's it. It ain't cheap. But till then, it's your average consumer, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.
Cooles Video auf jeden Fall. Der macht echt ganz gute Videos. Kann ich mal vielleicht öfters mal reinschauen. Auf jeden Fall ein sehr geiles Video. Wenn er so Technikvideos macht, dann werde ich da mal vielleicht mal öfters reinschauen. Das ist ganz cool auf jeden Fall. Ja, $200 oder auch 240 Euro ist schon eine Ansage auf jeden Fall. Aber zum Vergleich zu anderen halt noch immer günstig. Ne? Ich glaube, der einzige günstigste ist der Elite-Controller. Aber ich glaube, davon gibt es ja auch irgendwie eine neue Version für 200 Euro oder so. Irgendwie, mit dem man jetzt auch customizen kann. Also selber ändern kann. Der ist auch mittlerweile, glaube ich, so teuer, wenn mich alles täuscht. Scarf-Controller, Aim-Controller gehen hoch bis 300 Euro und mehr. Je nachdem, was man ausstattet. Und das Coole ist halt daran, was, glaube ich, bei den anderen nicht geht, dass man den personalisieren kann in der Software, also im System bei PlayStation. Zwar kann man den nicht das Design ändern wie bei anderen, wo du dann eigenes Design zum Beispiel draufpacken kannst oder andere Farben oder so. Dafür kann man den halt sehr, sehr für sich persönlich halt gestalten von den Funktionen, von dem Innenleben des Controllers. Finde ich auf jeden Fall sehr, sehr geil. Ob ich mir den direkt holen werde, weiß ich nicht. Ich habe mir erst gedacht, ich hole mir den. Dann dachte ich, aber vielleicht wartest du eher noch und holst vielleicht nicht die erste Revision, sondern vielleicht die zweite. Dann irgendwie vielleicht Mitte, Ende des nächsten Jahres. Muss ich mal schauen, weil, wie gesagt, 42 Euro für einen Controller ist schon viel Geld, ne? Aber ja, sonst gutes Video. Sehr sympathisches Kerlchen. Und ja, bin gespannt, was der Controller noch so zu bieten hat, wenn er halt draußen ist, beziehungsweise wenn andere Tests und sowas. Bin gespannt.